a little bit more time to see if he finds anything different. The reason why that's important is to whether it's a pre or post conviction matter is because that determines whether I have the discretion to set a bond when you demand a governor's warrant. You have two options today. One is you can demand a governor's warrant from the state of New Mexico. If you choose that option, New Mexico has up to 95 days to return that governor's warrant to Colorado. Once they do, if you are out of custody and have not, that warrant is still active, then you'd be remanded again and held in custody. At that time, you could request a hearing here in Colorado to determine if the warrant is valid. If at that hearing the warrant is found to be valid, then you would be extradited to New Mexico and they would have 15 to 30 days from that future date to come pick you up. If you don't request a hearing, then that timeline starts right then when you're remanded on the governor's warrant, and New Mexico has 15 to 30 days to come and get you. If you demand a governor's warrant and we address bond and I set a bond, which I have the discretion to do, I don't have to, but if I set a bond and you're able to post that bond, the whole point is that you get back to New Mexico as soon as possible and turn yourself in on this warrant. Otherwise, if you don't, and the governor's warrant comes back before you get back to New Mexico and turn yourself in, then you just go back into custody on that warrant and you're held without any bond, pending New Mexico picking you up within the time frame. So that's kind of the whole point of demanding a governor's warrant, having a bond set, is that your plan is to get back to New Mexico as soon as possible and turn yourself in on the warrant. Do you have any questions about any of that?
So you're saying that would be, so you're saying if this thing goes through, you're saying upon release, I got to get myself out there immediately.
So Your Honor, I also advised him he could reach out to an attorney and see if they could quash the warrant, which is also, I think, an option.
It's going to be my condition of bond that you return to New Mexico as soon as possible. I'm not going to give you a deadline. If you're planning on working with an attorney to consult with someone to see about the whole point is to get back there and take care of this warrant as soon as possible.
So what we're discussing is that upon release, if this were to happen immediately or something, I got to get myself out to Mexico, snap fast.
So as I just said, my condition of bond will be as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay, and so if that means, this week you're going to be reaching out to attorneys in New Mexico and retaining somebody, and they're going to work with you on a date to go in and turn yourself in or to go in and appear for a hearing. Yeah, I want you working on that as soon as possible. I'm not going to tell you a condition of bond is that you have 1 week to get back to New Mexico, but my condition of bond is going to be as soon as possible, because that's sort of the whole point of that, of demanding a governor's warrant and requesting that I set a bond. The whole point is that you're going to get back to New Mexico and get this taken care of.
Okay, I understand. I understand the picture. Before leaving out of here, can we just jot this down, what we talked about on paper, making sure that I got to get out there? Not that I don't have bad memory. As I was talking to her prior before you, I moved away from basically everything that I knew, everyone that I knew, to move to a new city and go to school that I didn't know anybody at. Mm-hmm. So when I ended up doing that in the process, I basically walked away from my friends, all my acquaintances, everything that I knew, and started a new life. And so long story short is basically I have no problem following the script of what you're telling me to do, but I want to make sure I follow it step by step and not messing anything up and making sure that
I think Ms. Uspin will, so let me finish advising you about a bit more, but here's what I'll suggest to you is that if I set a bond and you post it, I would say the very next day, get down to the public defender's office here in Colorado Springs and apply for their services so they can help you with your case, the corresponding case here in Colorado.
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to watch a defendant step into a legal maze he clearly didn't prepare for. The judge breaks down extradition rules, deadlines, and what demanding a governor's warrant really means. You can already see confusion building as the defendant tries to make sense of a process that gives him almost no room to breathe.
the option to demand a governor's warrant. What comes with that?
Yes.
Okay, the other option you have is to waive extradition to New Mexico. If you waive extradition to New Mexico today, New Mexico would have 15 to 30 days to come and pick you up from the state of Colorado. During that time, you would be held here on no bond pending New Mexico coming to pick you up. Once they come and pick you up, they take you back to New Mexico. The warrant gets taken care of and you go through the process there. If they don't come and pick you up in the time frame they're supposed to, 15 to 30 days, then I would dismiss this corresponding Colorado case and you would be released from custody if there's nothing else holding you here in Colorado. But there would only be this corresponding case in Colorado that would be dismissed. Your active warrant in New Mexico would still remain active because the only way to get that warrant taken care of is to physically return to New Mexico and turn yourself in. So if you have police contact in the future, they're going to see this warrant and you're going to go through the same process again. So the difference of these two options is that in one, you're voluntarily agreeing to return to New Mexico and they're going to come pick you up. And if they don't, this case will be dismissed here in Colorado. The other option, right, to demand a governor's warrant is that you're agreeing you're going to get back there on your own as soon as possible.
In this part, the judge sharpens her tone, stressing that the defendant must return to New Mexico as soon as possible if he posts bond. Every explanation feels like a warning. Act fast or lose your chance. The defendant nods along, but you can tell the weight of the instruction is hitting him harder than he expected.
I've been stressed out in my lifetime. I've been so stressed out. I'm worn out. And being in this thing where I keep going around in circles, Colorado, New Mexico, Colorado, New Mexico, Colorado. I get released. They release me in New Mexico. I don't know anybody out there. That's what keeps happening.
Okay, don't say.
Okay, so Mr. Hirschfeld, I can give you more time to talk to Ms. Uspen. I'm sorry about this sort of wheel that you've been spinning through. I don't know much about that, prior to this, but I can only really talk to you about this case and this situation and what your options are, and the options that you have today. And if you have any more questions about those, I'm happy to answer them, or I'm happy to let you talk more with Ms. Uspen about that to figure out, to make the decision that's best for you, given all you have sort of going on in your life right now. But I can't do anything about the warrant in New Mexico, and I can't do anything about the agreement Colorado and New Mexico have about extraditable warrants. So what I can tell you for sure is that you have to get back to New Mexico and take care of this warrant. Otherwise, you will keep going through this cycle over and over again. So do you want more time to talk to Ms. Uspen, or do you think you have enough information to make a decision on what you'd like to do today?
I believe we talked it through prior to on what's the best thing to do. I just don't feel like sitting around burning my life up. I wonder how many years have gone.
So Mr. Hirschfeld, I just need you to make a decision, and I'm happy to give you more time to talk to an attorney, but otherwise, would you like to waive extradition to New Mexico or demand a governor's warrant today?
Well, you said you wanted to do governor's warrant for the bond argument. Do you want to do the waiver? Which the waiver is the 30 days. Governor's warrant.
Keeps putting me in this circle.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Waiver.
You want to do the waiver?
No, what
No.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
that's what I keep doing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I keep going in the circle over and over and over.
That's
That's how I
what
get out of this.
Yeah. Okay. Governor's warrant. It's been explained before.
What? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Your Honor, I think we'll just take another minute. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, has he made a decision on what he'd like to do today?
Yes, Your Honor, he does want to pursue the governor's warrant and would ask that we argue bond.
Okay, go ahead regarding.
This moment exposes the core issue. The defendant has spent years stuck in the same cycle, and the judge points out she can't fix the past or the interstate agreements. She can only guide him through today's options. The frustration in his voice grows, but the judge stays steady, insisting he choose between two paths with real consequences.
Bond arguments.
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Hirschfeld has lived his whole life in Colorado. His family also lives in Colorado, but they're far out. As you know, it's a big state, so they're, I think he said, over 100 miles away. That being said, This is a careless driving case. It's a case that he has a lot of emotions about, as the court was able to hear, and a case he does want to resolve. He's just not sure how to get out of the cycle. I think with the help of the PD's office, and he has informed me he will go right to the PD's office, we can help get him set up with a step-by-step idea of how to reach out to the PD in New Mexico, how to work on getting this case resolved so that he can move on. I think in the past, he just doesn't know how to handle the court system, and I think he just needs guidance. Your Honor, I've also been informed by Mr. Hirschfeld that he is not going to be able to post any monetary bond. He does have a car, and he would be able to get to court, he's informed me. And he has a phone with which he's going to sign up for court dates and court reminders so he knows he can get here. My request would be to this court to be able to do a personal recognizance bond, with a condition being that, of course, he makes every effort to get to New Mexico, and he works with potentially the public defender's office or any office to be able to set up and start this process. I think he'll be able to do it. And if the court would like to set earlier review dates in court, I think that would be appropriate in order to check on him and how he's doing. But this is a careless driving case. I think a personal recognizance bond would be appropriate. I think he wholeheartedly, and I think the court could hear it, just wants to get this resolved and put behind him. He just needs the help in figuring out how.
All right, thanks, Ms. Hughesman. Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple complicating factors here. While it's listed as a careless driving case, I'm looking at 25 CR 45. That was another fugitive from justice case, which I believe is the same case, because it's a warrant from New Mexico. Governor's warrant was demanded and provided, and that has careless driving, but also aggravated fleeing and eluding, impeding traffic, failure to maintain. He was sent back to New Mexico on that warrant earlier this year and is now back again. I believe it's the same matter, same warrant that he did kind of evade from at that point. And while here in Colorado Springs in the last 2 years has picked up, it appears, 2 separate DUIs. So all these offenses involve some form of driving. I did notice a couple older FTAs. I haven't gotten through the full criminal history, but I guess the recency is what concerns me of, in essence, I'd like him to put this all behind him too. I think the most efficient way of doing that is getting him there and having it figured out. But it didn't appear to take last time when we followed the same track. And that was, I believe, in May of this year was the governor's warrant was signed by New Mexico.
Now the courtroom turns into a tug-of-war. The public defender argues for a personal recognizance bond, emphasizing his desire to resolve the case. The prosecutor pushes back with his driving history, DUIs, and past failures. The judge listens closely, weighing risk against compassion, and you can feel the tension build with every detail.
Well, I'm just looking at some of Mr. Hirschfeld's criminal history in Colorado. I'm seeing 24 CR 57. That's a case up in Teller County where he's charged with driving under the influence and eluding. And it looks, so I don't know, Miss Hughesman, if you've had any time to look at that case.
Your Honor, I have not. This was not on my original docket.
So just so you know, so I'm just looking through the history of that, and I think that would be helpful probably for your office to look at as well. But I do see that a governor's warrant was requested for a different extradition matter, and that's the 25 CR 45 case. That was an extradition case that was filed up in Teller County, but it looks like it's the same maybe case going on in New Mexico. A governor's warrant was requested. It was signed and returned, and bond was revoked on that case back in June. So you have been going through this cycle, but it's because this warrant in New Mexico hasn't been taken care of. So I'm concerned that one, Mr. Hirschfeld continues to drive, that there's a DUI case pending now in Colorado. There's a new extradition case. I see 25M1010 up in Teller County as well, which is another DUI case. So I'm concerned about community safety. I'm concerned that Mr. Hirschfeld may have some other things going on as I'm looking through the history in those other cases. And I'm concerned that he's not going to get back to New Mexico and take care of this. So given that information, I don't agree that a personal recognizance bond is appropriate. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500 cash surety or property in this case. Obviously, if Mr. Hirschfeld is able to post that bond, and I know from your bond argument that it seems like that's not going to be possible, but if something changes, he needs to return to New Mexico as soon as possible and turn himself in on that warrant. I'm going to set this case out about 4 weeks for a review to see what the status is on that governor's warrant.
At this point, the judge lays down the law. She lists his DUIs, eluding charges, and even a previous governor's warrant he failed to resolve. Her decision is firm: a $2,500 bond, no PR option. She warns he must return to New Mexico immediately, and her tone shows she's done giving chances. Reality hits him like a wall.
Go ahead.
Dear Honor, I have been in jail since April 29, 2025. I left the rehab because I wanted to come back here to turn myself in.
Let me just stop you real quick right there. Called Santa Maria, and the people at Santa Maria, according to what that officer put in this report, specific said that you left the facility because you changed your mind. Hang on. Quote, Santa Maria is not the best option for me at this time. Are you saying you did not say
I
that?
did not say that. She know why I left because I had a warrant for my arrest and I didn't want the police to pick me up. I couldn't go to the DPS and get my ID and stuff. So I was going to come back to Port Arthur, turn myself in, and just go from there. But I didn't leave because I didn't want the help. That's why I found out I was pregnant on March 31st. I found out I was pregnant. I was in that rehab. I left because they wanted me to go to get my ID and I couldn't go there because I had a warrant out for my arrest.
Okay. So you found out you were pregnant in March,
Yeah.
and then you went and committed an evading arrest with a vehicle, a duty on striking an unattended vehicle, and an aggravated assault against a public servant a month later after you found out you were pregnant?
I was on drugs, Your Honor.
While you were pregnant?
Yeah, I made the mistake of leaving the rehab and I got on drugs and the next few days later I got arrested.
But you said you made the mistake of leaving the rehab, but you said you left the rehab to come and turn yourself
Yeah.
in. So you didn't leave the hang on. So you didn't leave the rehab to come turn yourself in, because if you had, you would have come straight here and turned yourself in and you wouldn't have these new
I had to
offenses.
catch the bus, so I had to go downtown.
This pot shifts to the second case, and the tension spikes instantly. As Butcher reads a letter, the judge interrupts after only a few lines, already sensing contradictions. She confronts her with the rehab's report, pointing out that her stated reasons for leaving don't match the official record. The courtroom mood changes sharply.
You had left the facility at least by April 17th,
Yes,
and then your new charges were April 29th.
yes,
So that's 12 days
Yes.
of waiting on a bus and catching a
I
charge.
didn't have the money, so I got the money together to catch the bus back out here, the Greyhound. And once I got the money, the day I was going downtown, I got arrested for trying to evade the police because I was on drugs. I was scared and I was on drugs.
So all the times that you failed to report to the probation office, March 7th, March 10th, hold on, there was a third one,
March 12th.
March 12th, April 10th.
I
So
never knew I had all those dates after the 7th. After the 7th, I thought I was revoked already. After the first time I did report, I thought I had a warrant out for my arrest, and I went to the rehab.
but you talked to the probation officer
I
between
talked to
then,
her on the 7th.
and you talked to her
I
ugly.
got out of jail on March 6th in Harris County. I
Mm-hmm,
called her that day.
mm-hmm,
She wanted me to report the next day. I couldn't make it.
right.
So, I guess I talked to her within that week. I don't remember talking to her, but I didn't know that she was giving me more opportunities to report. I would have reported. I thought after the first time that was it.
The reason you probably don't remember all that is because I guess you were using drugs while you were pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was pregnant at first, and then I found out.
but then you kept using drugs.
Yeah. I need help, and Santa Maria is a good place, and they'll offer me mental health service, and I have an autoimmune disease that they offer treatment for. Jefferson County hasn't been giving me the medication for it. And since I've been here 52 days. They haven't given me any medication, so my baby can, yeah. I don't want to say it out loud, but it is, but, I need the help that Santa Maria offers. I don't want to be separated from my kids any longer. My 3-year-old is with my friend, and I want to be him to be able to come with me. I just want to be able to keep my kids with me and get the help I need mentally and with the drugs.
So where do you actually live?
I live
Here the judge digs into missed reporting dates, new felony charges, and drug use while pregnant. Butcher tries to defend herself, but each explanation conflicts with the last. The judge keeps pressing, exposing patterns of avoidance and excuses. It becomes clear that every layer of her story creates another hole.
County. She didn't have one prior to this, so I don't
I've
even
been
know
here
whose
the
house
same-
this is.
So here's the thing.
yes, ma'am.
Talking over people, being confrontational with your probation officer is not going to get you anywhere. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have, what's the place in Port Arthur that you have to live?
It's a home. It's a house.
Whose house?
It's my house. I've been renting it
Since when?
since before I got on rehab. I've been using the same address.
Well, but
Before I got probation.
you told probation that you didn't come back here. Hold on, because you were homeless.
I've never been homeless, ma'am.
You said that in the original pre-sentence
No,
report.
I told her I was at a motel and she assumed I was homeless, but I'm not homeless.
But originally, when I put you on probation,
I gave y'all 1820 17th Street, which is where I live.
if you had a residence here in Jefferson County and you were on probation here in Jefferson County, then why didn't you come back here when you got out like you were supposed to?
I tried to come back, yeah. I did come back. I didn't report because I thought I had a warrant out. I thought I was revoked already.
So you were just going to wait it out until they came and caught you?
Came to turn myself in and I got arrested. I was going to turn myself in.
Everything you're saying is conflicting because you're.
I'm here. I'm here.
This section is where the judge fully dismantles her credibility. She confronts her about claiming homelessness, then suddenly claiming a stable address. She challenges her on returning to town, but still not reporting. With every question, another inconsistency comes out. Butcher tries to hold the story together, but it's slipping fast.
Yeah, you're here in custody and you're just, I think you've told so many lies to everybody that you don't know how to keep up with them.
It's no lie, ma'am. I was in Houston. I came back and I came back March 7th. I was here. I didn't report. I was on drugs.
So you were already here March 7th.
I was here March 7th. I was here. And then she told me to come in.
So there's no reason on March 7th that you couldn't have, you were talking to her about needed a bus and all this stuff. That was all just lying back then.
No, I was in Harris County. I was in Harris County. I got here March 6th. She told me to report March 7th.
So if you were here March 7th.
Yes. Y'all know I was on drugs.
Or jail, that's too good.
This is the final blow. The judge finds the violations true and sentences her to 10 years plus 2 more in state jail, running concurrently. When Butcher begs not to be separated from her children, The judge fires back that she separated herself. It's a harsh but decisive moment that closes the case with absolute finality. If you like the video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.